So for this BattleTech post, we're going to jump into the narrative a little bit, and we're going to explore a couple of options with painting your mechs, because it can be a little bit overwhelming. And I'm not talking necessarily from the perspective of technique. There's a lot of great YouTube videos, Camo specs, other online resources to do it. But making that decision, you're staring at a pile of metal and plastic and thinking to yourself, how am I going to paint these mechs up? And even if you represent a mercenary company, you can kind of do whatever you want. And certainly there are established mercenary companies. But even within the great houses, if you're going to rep one of the great houses, there are different regiments, there are different units, completely different colors, beyond the kind of primary red, blue, yellow, green of the various houses. This leads into the question, then we're going to turn it over to the comments. Camouflage in BattleTech. And what got me thinking about this was not so much from the perspective of tanks and infantry, but mechs themselves. And I was reading an interesting historical article about, I believe it was an Australian destroyer, that during World War II, as it was evading the Japanese, it hid itself, literally pulled up to like an island coast. And they camouflaged the entire ship and cut down some trees and laid it over the deck. I mean, this is a massive ship. This is a destroyer. And for 7 days, the Japanese passed it back and forth and just couldn't see it. So this idea of camouflage in BattleTech, ambush is everything. I think there was another study in some military history classes that I had the good fortune to take that analyzed all of the known battles over the past 1,000 years. And 80% of them were won based on ambush, beyond superior forces, but on ambush. So it makes sense. Wouldn't you want to be camouflaged and jump out and blow stuff up, especially in BattleTech, given the firepower of some of these machines? Well, could you really hide a battle mech? I mean, even with the inner sphere and the loss of so much tech in the factories, even though it has that 80s feel, that 80s vibe, the tech in BattleTech is very advanced. This is before we even get into clans. I've got a neuro helmet. It allows me feedback to the mech. We're operating a machine that behaves more like a person internally, with the fibrous bundles to move it, and the joints and everything, and the weapon systems. And we've seen this idea in the video games, in the digital media. You can detect other mechs from a distance. I mean, they're a walking reactor. So I would think certainly a powered up mech would be hard to disguise in terms of the heat signature, in terms of the output that it's putting, maybe the movement. There's going to be ways that you can detect a mech, even before we get into the tech. All right, well, if I'm powered down and I'm hiding somewhere, I mean, there are rules in Total Warfare for powered down units. Completely turn it off. I mean, essentially in that case, you're inert, so you can hide that way. But then what about the visuals with how it's going to hide? My first mercenary company, the Dogs of War, I painted them up with this kind of camo. The idea that I'm not going to be able to camouflage these mechs. They're a mercenary company. But if I can break up their outline, break up their profile, taking inspiration from World War I, World War II, submarine warfare, kind of breaking up the outline of ships with these hard angles of white paint and gray paint on them. So I'm not going to be able to hide this massive mech with camouflage and netting. But maybe I can break it up so you're really not sure from a distance if it's powered down. Is that a Zeus? Is that an Awesome? I mean, there's a big difference between the two. Both great mechs, but pushing it out there. You could paint mechs in camouflage. So tactically, why do we see some of these mechs that kind of literally light up on the table? Why do they have these very bright ways of painting, and they really stick out? Well, also, if we look in the narrative, there are times, or I should say most of the time, you don't want to be camouflaged. It's kind of like the Red Baron. So you are literally a knight, right? The feudal houses, the great houses, you're literally a knight. So it's about glory. It's about representing your colors. It's about bringing glory to your house. I want everyone to know on the battlefield. It's almost like heraldry. Not so much, yes, to see who you are. I would imagine that we'd all be tied in so that as the battle's going on, it's not like uniforms where we're in a mass battle. I need to at least know who's on my side or not. The tech can take care of all of that. But visually, I want to stand out. So as I'm walking across the field or running across the field, you can see who it is. You can know who it is. So I see the perspective of why you would not want to camouflage your mechs. And I also imagine, or I also would imagine that a lot depends on the operations themselves. I think your mech would be kind of standard house colors or duty colors or just the mercenary company, the standard colors that you would wear on operations or certain operations out for hire. But then if the mission warranted it, if you're dropping behind enemy lines, drop ships dropping you off, that might require a repaint. So I could see units going through repaints depending on the mission. So you have a lot of choices, a lot of things to pick from when you're sitting there looking at your pile of plastic and metal. I'm going to turn it over to the comments. The state of camouflage for mechs. Vehicles are different. Vehicles are small enough, even though some of the tanks are very, very big in BattleTech. I want camo on everything for that because I'm going to be going up against mechs. If I'm infantry, likewise, I'd like some camo. What do you guys think in the comments? Camouflage, its place in the BattleTech universe versus full dress colors, full parade colors to wear on your mechs and running into battle with them.